Nebraska
who's going to be
baseball
hired.
is like a box of chocolates. Okay, you never know what you're going to get. That chocolate box looks so good when it's on the shelf and you're going to buy it, and you're like, I have enough money, I'm going to buy it. I can't wait to open it. But then it's the mystery when you take off the top of the box and you're not really sure. You think that looks like that particular type of chocolate, but then you bite into it and it's not. And so you don't eat it all the way. So you put it back into the holder where the wrapper is.
You put it back in?
Oh, yes.
That's disgusting.
But I don't share my box of chocolates.
So do you eat it for later?
Hey, nobody else is putting their mouth on my chocolate.
What?
Okay, I'm a singular chocolate guy. Okay, and also I don't buy the box of chocolates very often. But in this case, Nebraska baseball, they went all in and they bought a big box of chocolates.
It's the biggest box of chocolates you can think of.
Will one day here? I'll just give you a summation of this weekend in Iowa City, which Nebraska lost 2 of 3.
Be my guest.
So they were just eating all kinds of the chocolates. You know what? They were eating the chocolates in Lawrence. Then they took the box of chocolates to Iowa City. Huge crowds this weekend. Good to see. Rick Heller, who, full disclosure, when if Will Bolt had not been hired by Bill Moose, I contacted Bill Moose. I'm sure it's like if you do a Freedom of Information Act, my conversation with him is on there. I said, you got to hire Rick Heller. Rick Heller's a really good baseball coach. Longtime family friend. He's known my dad forever. But I think Rick Heller, who's the baseball coach at Iowa, is a great coach. And I said, if you're not able to get to the finish line with Will, Rick Heller would be someone that understands the Big Ten and understands the area, and he's be a really good representative for Nebraska. So if Will's not the guy, please consider Rick Heller. But Iowa's playing well. They've won 2 of 3. So you take your box of chocolates and you ride the bus over to Iowa City. Okay? And you know what?
And you got half-eaten chocolates in there already. No. You got some wrappers that are in disarray.
Friday night, his man, Will Walsh, has got that box of chocolates on his lap on the bus.
Was it fresh? It's a fresh box, is what I take.
So he opens it up, and there's some nice chocolates in there that he's eating, like some really, really good chocolates.
Some turtles, some caramels, there's some truffle a little bit, there's a crunch, there's peanut butter.
And then he gets to the one, and he almost breaks his tooth.
Oh.
And that's the only one that is bad in the box of chocolates. Okay, but for the most part, it was a good box of chocolates. But you know what? When you haven't had a lot of good box of chocolates, you need a really, really good top to bottom box of chocolates. So they didn't get that on Friday. And then here on Saturday, so Will delivers a new box of chocolates, okay?
He buys a new one.
Because there's only one person that wants somebody else's mouth on his chocolate. And they're eating them, okay? They're enjoying them.
Yeah, they're loving them.
And then they're getting towards the end, and all of a sudden it's just rotten candy. Okay, the candy is just awful.
And he trips and he falls and the box goes everywhere and the chocolates fall out.
And then yesterday, yesterday was a little bit tough with the box of chocolates because I don't know if there was some residue from the chocolate that was left over on the box because they kept dropping it. They couldn't hold on to it properly. But then you know what? They reached in and they grabbed that one that's got some peanuts in
nougat,
it. And it's like, oh my God, this feels real good. So Dylan Carey hands it off to the guy, his seatmate. And he eats a chocolate and he's like, oh my God, this is great. And then you know what? Then you run into that place where like they have what is the pink stuff inside of the chocolate? That's the stuff. That's the stuff that's absolutely disgusting that only your grandpa and your grandma would eat. Okay. While they're sitting on their couch that has plastic on it. Okay. And then all of a sudden, a guy that is in the back of the bus, Max sets up and he goes, give me your chocolates. So he grabs the box of chocolates and he just, and then you know what?
That was a Donald Duck if I ever heard one.
And then we're getting towards the end of the box of chocolates. And Mr. Broderick says, not so fast. I would like a piece of chocolate. And he reached in and he grabbed his favorite chocolate and he said, So the chocolates were over for the weekend and only one box was good. That's what Nebraska baseball is.
That was a very roundabout way to say Nebraska went 1-2 on the weekend. They gave up one run on Friday, couldn't get any offense going. They fell apart on Saturday. And then yesterday, Max Budenbach, along with Tyler Stone, helped get the team over the hump and win the third game of the series.
As somebody who's eaten a lot of chocolates in his life, I commend you for taking me there. I feel like I was in said box and eating every chocolate.
You don't know what you're going to get.
No.
So now Nebraska and Creighton play tomorrow night. That's what I was asking about the weather. What's the weather for tomorrow?
Supposed to be nice, I think. A little windy today, but tomorrow looks good. I think it's
I'm
going to be a good week.
checking.
One day this week's supposed to be 86, but that's not tomorrow.
Tomorrow, I hope you or love you. Tuesday, 37 is the low, 66 is the high. We currently I don't have a forecast for game time, but it will be windy.
I mean, that's a given.
So there'll be 4,000 people to watch Nebraska Creighton tomorrow night at 6. Kind of a big game. Kind of a big game.
It is a big game.
But you have no idea what you're going to get out of Nebraska.
I have no clue.
Probably
could have.
You know what you get out of Creighton, even though they lost 2 of 3 this weekend. It wasn't a good weekend for baseball. Here's another thing that really was perfect for the Masters to be on. Is nobody was home this weekend. The 3 Division I baseball teams were all on the road. Storm Chasers were on the road. The only softball team that was home was Creighton. I mean, it was perfect. Thank you for not impeding on our Masters. Unfortunately, you youth parents that had to go to basketball, soccer, and
had to
baseball,
do all the travel sports,
that's on you.
Yeah.
Okay, don't have kids. All right, as we learned in the last hour, don't get married. Don't have kids.
Hey, I'll just tell you this:
save a lot of hassle
at the club, though. I mean, it's easier to hit your mark at the pro shop if you got a wife and kids. So maybe maybe that's the plus of that. You don't have to buy 37 polos, half of which you're probably not going to wear to hit your fees. But outside of that, don't have kids. You and I are in the same boat.
Zach writes into the Equitable Bank inbox where they take banking personally. Nebraska athletics, you always know what you're getting. You always know what you're going to get.
I think that's on the contrary, if I'm being honest with you.
Nebraska men's athletics, garbage, embarrassing, pathetic. Nebraska women's athletics, something to be proud of.
Oh, wow. Look at Zach. That's, I think, the first positive email or positive thing you've ever read from him before.
I've been
positive
many,
lots of times.
He's Lego Maniac has been positive. He just we're having a downturn with football, men's basketball, and then of course baseball. But bowling, by the way, finished 3rd. They did not make it to the championship on Saturday night. They finished 3rd. But Nebraska softball went to Northwestern, beat Northwestern badly. I think I need to look more into the RPI of college softball. I think there's a good chance that Nebraska softball could be hosting.
Wow.
If Jordy Ball gets I think it's a general understanding that Peaches James is the GOAT of softball in the history of the state of Nebraska. Now, ironically, both of these young ladies are from the same high school, Papillion La Vista, and did work in high school for that incredible softball program. But if Jordy Ball, what she did at Oklahoma, and she comes back to her home state, has to overcome the knee injury last year in the first game, and leads them all the way to the College World Series in Oklahoma City.
That'd be incredible.
And she doesn't need to win the championship, but gets Nebraska to Oklahoma City, then I think it's a fair thing to say, all right, Peaches, you've had a great run. You're still an incredible softball player, but now Jordy is the GOAT. But I think Nebraska softball has what are they, 3rd in the Big Ten? I think they have a shot to host a regional.
34th in the RPI.
Okay, so they maybe have a little work to do.
NCAA softball, 29-10. But a lot of these teams that they'll be competing against, are in the double-digit loss column outside of Oregon, who's having an incredible season. They're 35-4. But I mean, just from just seeing the records here, they're going to have a shot. They definitely would probably be on the back end of it. But yeah. I mean, they're having an incredible year. Jordy Ball is awesome.
Speaking of women's athletics in Lincoln,